On Part 2, this is clauses 20 to 89 and Schedule 2. The question is at Part 2, stand part.
Mr. Speaker,
the Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr. Chairman, this is the really grunty part of this bill and is a real test for this House as to whether they are serious about increasing housing supply. Members may laugh, but let's hear what it does. At the moment, it takes between 3 and 4 years to get consent for a subdivision and to bring new land onto supply. This bill will reduce that period to just 6 months. At the moment, if you want to do a brownfields development, it takes over a year to get through the process, and this bill will enable it to be done within 3 months. I challenge members of this House who beat their chest around housing supply and affordability why they would oppose measures that will make it easier for those that actually build the houses and provide the sections, why they would oppose these provisions. And I'd put to you, Mr Little, it is solely politics. Those that are opposing this part of the bill cannot look in the mirror and pretend they are serious about helping Kiwi families get a home. Mr Chairman, I've been aghast at how all over the paddock the opposition are around housing affordability. I listened in Part 1 to the speeches, and from Labour, New Zealand First and the Greens, who pretend that they are an alternative government, completely opposite positions about what the solution is to housing affordability. I also want to challenge members on bad faith. Bad faith. I tell you why. When I became housing ministers, members of the opposition said, we want action on housing. When we get action on housing, they oppose it. They said they wanted agreement with councils. We deliver agreement with councils, and they still oppose it. They still oppose it. I heard speeches in the first reading about Hobsonville. Let me give you the facts on Hobsonville, Ms King. Labour announced 1,000 houses at Hobsonville, and Hobsonville will be picked up by Part 2, and I'll come to that. They announced 1,000 houses at Hobsonville in 2002. How many houses had been built in Hobsonville by November 2008? How many had been built, Annette King? How many had been built, Mary Ann Street? How many houses had you built of the 1,000 that you had announced in 2002?
Not me.
Not one. Not one. How many houses have been built by this government at Hobsonville on that land? Answer, over 400. Over 400. And why is it relevant? Why is it relevant to this part? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. And I have the chairman of the Hobsonville Development Company, who has put on record that if Parliament passes Part 2, they will be able to bring 1,000 more houses to market next year. 1,000 more houses to market next year. So I challenge again, Mr Chairman, members opposite need to look in the mirror. They need to say, are they serious about improving housing supply? Because any member of this House that is serious about housing supply, serious about housing affordability, will support this part. The last point I make, Mr Chairman, is this. Members from Labour have challenged me, what price will the houses be? What price will the houses be? And I have a very simple response. Any member of this House who claims that they are going to set the price of housing fails to get to first base on understanding the housing market. Unless members, and the member interjects, can I say to this member, is he telling me, Mr Chowdhury telling me, that a Labour government will set the house price?
Prasad.
Mr Prasad, Is he telling the Parliament that a Labor government will set the house price?
Point of order.
I would ordinarily not stop the minister, but after being here for almost 5 years, he might have known that Mr. Chowdhury is somebody else.
He did correct it, so yes.
My simple challenge to the member: are members, Mr. Chairman,
Dr.
Mr. Chairman, are members of Labor seriously suggesting that this Parliament sets the house price? Do they really believe that just by, if we just pass a bill, because they've challenged me and they said, where in Part 2 is the price of the house? Do members of this Parliament seriously believe that all we need to do to make house affordability is to put a section in this bill that says house prices will be $300,000 and magically that will be the case? Well, I'm concerned that members opposite believe that. I've heard Labor members out on the hustings saying that magically if you just pass a law that says the wage is going to be $20 an hour, or why stop there? Let's make it $30 an hour. Let's just pass a bill and say wages in New Zealand are going to be $30,000 a year and house prices are going to be $20,000. Well, that would be a good bill. Is that seriously what Labor members actually believe? Because the answer is this: house prices are determined by a market. And what we need to do is we need to get the materials price more competitive. We need to get the section price more competitive. We need to get the infrastructure price more competitive. We need to deal with the issues of the compliance costs. We need to do the work that Maurice Williams is doing to improve the competitiveness and productivity of the building sector. We need the 1,000 more apprentices that we're doing. They are the things that will make the material difference. And I go back and challenge the Labor spokesperson on housing to answer the challenge that was given by Sir William Seal. And he said this: how many houses at what price are you going to build for people on $20,000 a year? Well, I haven't heard that answer from the Labor Party, because actually members of this House do not set the house price. Never have, never will. What we have to do is we have to get the market conditions right. That's right. I'll tell you what the member interjects. Does the member think this is acceptable? We've got a block of land in Flatbush that is zoned for housing. It was purchased for $800,000. $800,000. It's now on the market for $113 million. $113 million. That is disgraceful. But that is the product if you put a very tight metropolitan urban limit. And if we want to stop that sort of land banking, if we actually want to get sections at an affordable value, they are the differences that we in this House need to mark, and that is what this part about. Last point I wish to make is this. If we are serious about addressing house price, section price is critical. And I'll tell you why. If the section price as it averages in Auckland of $325,000, you're not going to build an affordable house on that section. If it's a $325,000 section, the incentive is actually to build a very expensive house on that. And this government is saying actually getting the section price down is actually really critical to actually making it affordable for us to actually be able to build a house in the range that average Kiwi families can afford. And I say to members opposite, block this bill, block this part, and you're voting against land supply in greenfields being consented in 6 months. That's what this part will do. And it is proposing against brownfields development being consented with 3 months. And I say to them again, look in the mirror, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Phil Twyford, just before the members start, we are having some I'm sorry, the call's yours. You just have to give me some flexibility. We're having a problem with the timing. Phil Twyford.
A longer call is fine, Mr. Chairman. It's fine.
I've got my watch.
Okay.